What's up guys, Steven here from Powell's Power Ups. I have another overview video for you of an SP Sabers Darkness V3 that I just completed for a client who wishes to remain anonymous, but this is his overview video. So this is your overview video, everything important about the lightsaber, how to properly handle it to make sure that you don't damage the lightsaber will be gone over in this video. It is imperative that you watch the entire video to make sure you know everything that you need to know. So here is the unboxing. When you get your lightsaber, you'll get it in your original box. Slide the sleeve off. You can set that aside and then open up your lid. Now when you first open up your lid here, you're going to have a couple things. You'll notice this right here is a plaque stand. So it has the stickers on it, but you can peel it off. It's clear acrylic, as you can see right there. Put a little piece of double-sided sticky tape on the back of your plaque that came with the lightsaber, and it stands up in here. So I got these for everybody who went through me to get their lightsaber done, because these did come with plaques. So I got you plaque stands. Use it if you wish to. If not, you can chunk it. Next, we have a stack of papers here. Your lightsaber has the Crystal Focus X version MK3 inside of it. These documents, these pieces of paper, go over how to operate your lightsaber. It talks about all of the fonts and how they're organized on here, and it goes over other various things, such as like all the blade profiles and what they are, everything that I've loaded on here. So there's lots of good information here. Read through this to know all kinds of important things about your lightsaber, but more specifically, starting here, how to operate it. I'm also going to send you a video link where I actually show you how to operate the lightsaber, because I know some people are visual learners, so you'll get that as well. Next up, we pull out the actual lightsaber. So when you remove the foam cover here, you see your lightsaber. On the left side here, you're going to have your unstable side blades from me. I have sanded down the rim right here of them just to make sure they slide in and out of the emitters very smoothly, but they are NeoPixel TCSS connector pads, TPU printed, so they're squishy material, so you don't have to worry about cracking or shattering them. They're pretty flexible, but still treat them carefully. This is your battery charger for your 21700 lithium-ion battery. That's actually in the lightsaber right now for video purposes, but when you get it, it will actually be in this little baggie right here. And this is your battery charger for that battery. Also here you get a little Ziploc baggie with your belt clip for the JJ Industries belt hanger if you have that. And then here's all your little Allen wrenches that you're going to need. I have my own set that I'll use for the video, but you'll get that as well. So pulling out the lightsaber. Dun, da, da, da. So I really like this lightsaber. Beautiful lightsabers. I actually have this personal one. So you're actually going to have all of your blade plugs in all of the emitters when you get it. I'm going to go ahead and take those out right now and show you the bottom of them. Be careful with your set screws. They are super tiny, and as you can see, I just dropped one right there. They're so short that as soon as you back them out a little bit, you can drop them. And there's no extras, so don't lose these. But I'm just loosening these up so I can get out your blade plugs, and I wanted to show you your blade plugs. I have 3D printed plastic bottoms to go on the bottom of them, okay, so that you can use them. You are allowed to use these. When you insert them and they touch your pins, they will not short your electronics, because I made these covers for you. So I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. Your main blade is an even smaller set screw. It's so tiny. I think it's M1. So use your little tiny Allen wrench to loosen that one up so that your main blade can come out. And get it loose enough. Come on. Oh, there it goes. If it seems like it's stuck, just push it down a little bit and then it'll come back out. But there's the 3D printed bottom onto that one as well. So inside your emitters, you have your 7-pin TCSS connectors. Right, so you got those all in there. And now I'm going to show you how to open up the lightsaber so that you can get to the battery compartment and the CFX on the inside. First step, you're going to pull the red wire up here out of the engine, and then slowly you're going to fish it. Whoops. Slowly you're going to fish it down out of this first clip. My personal one, and I'm leaving this up to you if you want, my personal one actually slit the wire right here. I glue the bottom side in, and then the top one I tuck in. Or you can do it this way where you leave it all whole and then you just fish out of the top clip whenever you need to open up the lightsaber, like so. So here you're going to use your next bigger Allen wrench to loosen the 3 button head screws that are used to hold the lightsaber together. One. So the reason why, I'll talk about it real quick while we're there, the reason why the saber ignited, just so you know, that is your main power button there. Your auxiliary is on the opposite side right here. The main power button, if you look at it from the angle here, actually sticks up higher than anything else. So if you lay it down on that side, it will engage that button. So when you lay it down red wire side down. That way you don't engage the power button like I just did. So that's something important to note about the lightsaber. So I got those 3 out. I'm gonna actually raise the camera up for this next part so you can see what I'm doing a little bit. I always like to hold it upside down with the pummel facing upwards. And then once you get those 3 out and you have the red wire out, you're just gonna quickly remove the bottom shell, because this is just a shell, it's hollow, there's nothing inside of it. So you're gonna pull that out, set it aside in your box, and then before you do anything else, just to be safe, you're gonna go ahead and take the battery out, okay? Now you're not gonna grab the chassis ever by like this at all. You're gonna handle the chassis very gently because it's very delicate in this position, but the top of the lightsaber is all metal, so you're pretty good there. To get the battery out, literally just use one finger on the positive end of the battery, which is the top, and you're just gonna lift the top of it out like so. Just like that, and then the battery comes out. So here's your lithium ion 21700, keep power 5000 milliamp hour. This is a big old battery, lots of power, lots of run time. Once you get that battery out, this shell right here, okay, you can slide it up and out, but your buttons are magnetically in right now. So what you need is a nice soft pair of tweezers. See how our power switch has those little grooves in it? So I get a pair of ceramic ones like this, not metal, so I don't scratch it. But I just grab the switch in those little grooves, right? Make sure I got a good grip and pull straight up. And then your power switch magnet on the bottom will come straight out. This will allow you to slide up and off this shell portion here. When you're doing this, the reason why I take the battery out is because this shell portion is metal and your CFX here, some of the, these connections are exposed. You don't want to touch that board with this metal shell. So that's why I take the battery out whenever I'm handling it. Slide this off. This is just a shell portion that you can set aside. And then here's the true core of your lightsaber. So I'll bring the camera back down. So you got your aux switch right here. On the inverse side, you have your power switch here, which has the magnet on it, and that's actually how that switch sits inside. As you can see, it magnetizes, but you need to take it on and off for disassembly and assembly of your lightsaber. You got a matte black 3D printed chassis. It's a PLA. Treat it like it's delicate. It's pretty strong stuff, but treat it like it's delicate. This is your battery compartment. Spring side down here on the bottom is the negative side of the battery. The battery itself is marked. Make sure you do not stick the battery in backwards. So flat side of the battery goes against the spring. If you stick the battery in backwards, you can fry your electronics. At the bottom here, we got a 2-watt 4-ohm speaker, 28mm from the Saber Merchant. Super loud speaker. Here we got a first order 3D printed wire cover that pushes down into the chassis just like the CFX does. It doesn't really need to come out or anything like that, but as you can see, it just covers up the wires and adds kind of some visual appeal to the lightsaber. Next up, you got your CFX right here. If you ever need to access your CFX in like a RICE program or anything like that, I recommend leaving the SD card in and just accessing everything through the micro USB port. Get you one of those L-shaped USB ports to plug into. When you do that, you can just remove this out of the way and then you can plug into it directly. Make sure all the time, whenever you're getting ready to put it back together, make sure the CFX is pushed down as far into the chassis as possible, but be careful with this chassis. It's just PLA printed plastic and you don't want to crack or snap it or break it or anything like that. It's in there pretty secure right now. I shouldn't have any problems with it. Before I send it to you, I'm actually going to use some liquid electrical tape, and these connections, I'm actually going to put some over that, and that should protect it from any metal touching it and possibly you know, having any shorts or anything like that. So I'm going to do that before I send it to you, but I am going to send you this video today just so you can see what everything is like, because I know you're anxious to see it. So back to the chassis, you got this cool light panel design that we see in the Star cruisers in the First Order and Imperial ships. So cool light panel down the side. I also like the matte black chassis. I thought it went really good with Sean Patterson's paint job, which is kind of the same concept. So putting it back together, I make sure the wire cover is pushed down into the chassis like so. Okay, make sure the CFX is pushed down like so. I'm going to insert the battery. As you can see, when I handle the lightsaber, I'm handling it by the upper core section here, the metal section, not the chassis like so. When I push the battery in, I'm gonna, you know, push the battery in against the spring and then push the positive end down. I'm not gonna push it down. I'm not gonna push it straight down like so I don't, you know, snap off this chassis inside of the hilt here. So I'm just gonna push, you know, down towards that speaker. So I had an alarm go off on my phone, so that's why the video was interrupted, but I'm going to demonstrate again. So I'm just going to push, you know, kind of down towards that speaker a little bit, just enough so the top of it slips in nicely. Your light should come on during the boot sound, stay solid for a second, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, however long the boot sound is, while the CFX boots up, and then the light will go off. You obviously get a boot sound just like we saw there. That gives your lightsaber power, and it's ready to rock. So now I'm going to go over reassembly. What I'm actually going to do is be really careful, like I talked about earlier, when I slide on this shell. You want the gash side by your blue wire. This blue wire, by the way, was already glued on by SB Sabers, so I didn't really mess with that. But the bottom of it had some frayness to it, so I clipped that and put on a heat shrink to keep them together. Now I'm going to slide this on very carefully up and over the CFX down into the engine to make sure I'm not touching that CFX board. Okay. Then once that's on there, I'll slide the bottom metal shell here back on. Again, I kind of keep everything standing up like so. But you want to line up where that gash is with this right here where your aux switch is, like so. Again, careful not to touch your CFX. Now, once you get it here and together, you can handle it a little more easily. But I'm going to push this again. I'm sticking my belly out for the video. Push this against my body. And then I'm going to kind of maneuver this shell, look down in that hole, put in my first button head screw. Now I want to screw these down only partly the way in. Don't screw it down all the way tight until you get all 3 of them in. Then you can tighten them down. I suggest getting them tight as you can, but I warn you, do not strip the button heads. If you're not careful, you can strip them if you try to get them too tight. You may notice a little bit of a rattle in the handle section where it inserts up into this upper section here. That's just from the way the saber was designed. It's not anything else with the lightsaber. It's just the way it was designed. See, that one's not going in because I got these too tight. So I'm going to loosen these back up a little bit. And then this one will go in a lot easier. There it goes. So now that I got all 3 in there, now I can start to tighten them down. I go until they stop, and then I turn about another 1/8 inch to maybe an 1/8 turn to maybe a 1/4 turn. Not a whole lot more because I do not want to strip them. So I got those all in there now. So now I'll feed the red wire back up through that upper clip there. And then I just kind of tuck it down inside of the engine like so. So that it's aesthetically pleasing. Just like that. So I did, just so you know, I do use Loctite whenever I build the saber together to make sure that it's all solid. I use the blue removable version, not the red permanent, in case, you know, something goes wrong and I got to redo it. But I do use Loctite. There's bolts that hold the emitters on. I don't want those to jiggle, so I Loctited those. And then there's 3 that goes into the top of the core, 3 that goes into the bottom of the core, to keep the inside engine here all together. But the rattling you might notice is actually, you'll notice when you have it, is that you can see it right there a little bit moving. Is actually the handle section where it comes up into the shell is what's moving left and right. So that's just part of the way the saber was designed. I talked to Sean about it. He said tighten these down, but I don't recommend tightening those too much or you'll strip them. Then that would damage your saber. So your power button is magnetic. You can just drop it down inside like so, right? And then your auxiliary button is just this rubber button here. So if we hold it,
Sound bank selection.
Kylo Ren, I'll show
we can
you
switch fonts.
the dark side.
So I'm going to go ahead and get the side blades. I'm going to pop those in, show you how those work. Again, I like to hold the saber upside down. The side blades, you'll just stick in and tighten down the set screws on this TPU material. So I'll go ahead and do that, I guess, while I'm on camera. I like to turn it on while I do it, just so I know that they're lit. You do need to apply pressure against the springs as you tighten down the screw, just to hold them in. You only need to tighten down that screw just enough to hold the blade in. Nothing more than that, because that TPU material is kind of squishy. You know, you would just keep pushing it in. Just enough to hold the blades in so they don't come out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera now, and I'm going to put in the main blade and show you all of that. Alright, so this is your main blade, right? It'll come in a wrapper like this. It's 36 inches long, just like you requested. It's the 1-inch outer diameter trans white polycarbonate medium weight blade from the Custom Saber Shop with the white parabolic tip. NeoPixel going up into that tip to make sure it's illuminated. Got a Custom Saber Shop connector there on the bottom. And then this is a unstable sleeve that I print to go on the base of it to kind of give it that explosive flare out of the base of the hilt. It just slides on the bottom just like so. So I keep it up, I insert it into the lightsaber, and then I just pull it down. So I got my little tiny Allen wrench here. I'm going to go ahead and put this into the lightsaber. So I just put it against my body like so, because I do need to apply pressure to this blade as I tighten down the set screw, but I do not want to twist the blade. I'm only going straight in and out. I'm just going to push it straight in. I'm going to tighten down that set screw as tight as I can get it, but I'm going to make sure I don't, strip anything. But I do want it tight so that blade isn't wiggling around at all. Once I get it in, I can slide down the sleeve, and then I'm ready to rock. So I'll do a little demonstration for you now, show you what it looks like. Pretty gorgeous, isn't it? Swing sounds, flashes, lock up, all right, blasters. You got force effects. Every time you trigger a force effect, you get a quote with a little flash on your blade. So we got quotes playing. We got stab sound if you stab into an object like that. Some of the fonts have staggered ignition and some of them don't, but that's all lined out in the paperwork that I provide you, says how the fonts are laid out. You basically have fonts from each movies, some of them having simultaneous ignition and some of them having staggered, but they're all there on the paperwork. So this is your lightsaber. I hope you enjoy it, man. Take your time with it. Treat it like it's super expensive. I know you've waited a long time for it and spent a lot of money on it, so there it is. Hope you enjoy it.